Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Now, let me know if you can see me okay, if you guys can hear me okay. There's always something to do with the technical difficulties of working at this computer and making sure that everything is working. And yeah, so let me know if you guys can see me okay and hear me okay. And we can have a great day chatting and yay, fantastic. Thank you so much for letting thank you so much for letting me know. Okay, awesome. Wonderful. Thank you guys so much for being here today. This is very exciting. This is Taking Back Friday, our live stream that we do the second Friday of every month. And this just gives us a chance to catch up and see what's been happening behind the scenes at Sweet Georgia, what we're doing here in the studio, what we're doing at the school, what we're making, what I'm making, and we also do the colorway sort of reveal for our secret stash club. And so I have lots of things piled up on my desk here to share with you. And yeah, very, very excited to share a lot of things with you guys today. So maybe the first thing that I should do is I should say, like, we were out of town last week. We just got back into town on Saturday last week. And this week has been just catching up on a lot of things. And so you guys might know that for the past couple of months, we have been preparing for a show. We were preparing for H&H Americas. And so that was really quite a big deal. H&H Americas is a trade show that happens every year in Chicago. And we used to go to the previous show. Well, actually, there's another show. H&H Cologne, which is a show that happens in Germany. And so we went to that Cologne show for 5 years in a row until the pandemic. And then we sort of stopped going to that show. And then after that, they started an American show, one that happens in Chicago. And so for the past 2 years, we've been attending the Chicago show. And it's quite a bit of work preparing and getting ready for this. So we're very, very excited that we got to actually go and do this. I actually really like going to this particular show. And I'll tell you a little bit about sort of behind the scenes and all of that kind of stuff. So maybe let me show you what our booth looked like. Yay! This is our booth from the show. This is, we've been doing that Cologne show for 5 years. We did the America show for 2 years. And I feel like this is the first year that I'm really like actually quite happy with our booth. I was actually quite happy with this. And I think it looks really nice. We had our nice printed panels and then we had all of our yarns in all of the colors that we dye, all knitted up into these giant swatches. And so these giant fabric swatches are really, really helpful, letting people sort of see which colors they might like, see how the colors might go together. It gives a really good idea of how a yarn and a color would knit up if you were to make an actual garment out of it. So we're very, very excited to be able to do all of that. Teresa went with me and we set up this whole booth, just the two of us, which was it's a bit of a big job, but I think we did pretty good. Yeah, we're really, really happy about how the booth turned out and everything like that. And I see, Ruth, you're saying you've been hoping to get to H&H for a couple of years. Yeah, we will keep going to this show, I believe, as long as it continues. It is always, the timing is always kind of tricky, right? Yes. The swatches. I love these swatches. They are fantastic. Just to be able to, I want to do one of those color videos where you like lay on all of the swatches and then you like reveal the swatches and see which colors look best on you. I think that would be a really, really handy thing to do with these swatches. But the swatches are still being shipped back to us. So in any case, we're waiting for all of that to come back. Now, there's a lot of stuff happening, obviously, before the show, before the actual exhibit, where people are walking around and looking at all of the booths and things like that. There was a whole day that was the Content Creator Summit, and there was a number of people that I got a chance to meet for like the very first time. And this is 100% the reason why these shows are so great. It's not really just about like setting up the booth and then all of that, but it's about all of the people that you meet. Sometimes, maybe just once a year, you might meet these people. And for many of these people, this is the first time that I've had a chance to meet them in person. And so, one of the first people that I met on the day before the exhibit was Mika from Salt and Stone Knits. And so, she's actually in Amsterdam. She's a knitwear designer, but she's also a weaver. And so, I've been following her posts for a while. I watched a whole lecture that she gave about how to teach online and all these kinds of things years and years ago. But these are the first times that we're meeting in person. And same with Heavenly. So Heavenly is a spinner. She restores antique spinning wheels. She spins with wild silk. She spins with a quill. She does all sorts of amazing things with spinning. Again, first time that I got to meet her. I met Jillian Eve, who also has a YouTube channel. So Evie from Jillian Eve, met her for the first time. She's fantastic. She's lovely. Um, and then and then all of these other people that we got to meet. So Laura and Elkin I've known for a while now, and so we used to do the TNA shows and see each other every year, twice a year at these shows. And so it was nice to see Laura at this meetup that was all about how to make videos, how to make more videos and teaching videos and things like that. I also got to do a panel with the HGA, the Hand Weavers Guild of America. And so this is Julia from HGA, and then also Alana Wilcox, which you guys will probably have seen on Instagram. She does a lot of generative AI art using fiber arts with AI and combining those. So she came to give some talks about that as well at H&H, and looking at, like, what can you do with AI in the future? What is all of this? How do you make use of the technology that's available? And then this is Jan Macklin. So Jan Macklin was also on the panel, and Jan has been, I think she said she's been a weaver for 40 years. It's amazing. So we all were basically talking about how you can use something like knitting yarn and use it in weaving. How these crafts are actually, a spectrum, and they can all be there's overlap. There's definitely a lot of overlap where you can use this kind of yarn for weaving and all sorts of things like that. So Alana and Jan have very, very different approaches to weaving, and so it was really interesting to learn so much from these women. And then we also, Teresa and I had dinner with the girls from Just Yarn. So Sarah and Christine from Just Yarn. Just Yarn, they provide a ton. They're creating weaving yarn. They're creating new weaving yarn. So a lot of the yarn that we use for the school, like the Just Beam, we use Duet, Mallow, the Array, a whole bunch of these different kinds of yarns that we use for the School of SweetGeorgia for teaching weaving, all come from Gist. And so it was really nice to catch up with them in person. Like, this is the first time that we've all met in person. And then I have a couple of photos here. This is a new crochet. So a new crochet, you can look her up on Instagram, but also she has a very, very extensive YouTube channel. And she knit this amazing, amazing, amazing shawl. I'm going to post a photo of this on Instagram so that you can see the detail that is in that shawl. But she knit this out of our Cash Luxe Fine. And so it's cashmere blend, fingering weight yarn. It's just absolutely stunning and gorgeous and so subtle. And at the same time, this shawl here, I'm so happy that Ruth is in the chat right here, because this is Ruth's design. If you guys did not know, this is the Ethereos shawl. It's designed by Ruth at Red Earth Design Studios. You can find her on Instagram. And the shawl is absolutely gorgeous. And it was actually knit by Irina. This is Irina here from Fibre Chats. And Fibre Chats also has a YouTube channel, and she's doing a lot of interviews with different knitwear designers and all sorts of people who are in this sort of yarn world. And she knit that shawl, Ruth's design, Ruth's shawl. She knit it with our Sweet Georgia Cash Luxe Spark, and then she gave me the shawl. Like that photo is her giving me this shawl. So I'm just gonna quickly show you the shawl because it's beautiful. So this shawl that she knit for us, it looks like snowfall, like the lightest color up here, and then you can see some of this eyelet detail, and then there's a little bit more lace happening in the next section. This is the colorway Foggy Dew. It's like a light, muted, sort of gray-green kind of color. And then at the bottom here, this is Forest Walk. That color is called Forest Walk. This is all knit in the sparkly Cashlug Spark. So it feels amazing. It is silky, it is drapey, it's got a tiny bit of sparkle, which I don't think you can see on the camera here. Let me see. It's very hard to see. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, but it just turned out so beautifully and so subtle and so wearable. And so I'm just amazed that she came to the booth and she gave me this shawl. And it's amazing. So this is actually yeah, this is Ruth's design and they actually together, Fiber Chats and Red Earth Design Studio, they just are about to complete a knit along where they were knitting all of these together. Yeah, fantastic. Thanks. I think Greta's just posted to Irina's Instagram there. Um, yeah. Oh my gosh. I was just so shocked, so surprised, so amazed. And I love this shawl. It's beautiful. So if Irina, if you're watching, thank you so much. And we will chat more on Fiber Chats for sure. Karen saying, I think she said she knitted in 5 days, which is even more amazing. Yeah, beautiful. So I also wanted to share a few more photos. So these are a couple more photos, snapshots from H&H. And these are actually, for the most part, most everybody here on here was an SOS member. So School of SweetGeorgia members were all over H&H and they were all coming out to say, thank you for building the school. They were excited about the content. They were excited about the things that they had learned. And one of the most amazing things is that like through some of the things that they've learned through the School of SweetGeorgia, many of them have developed full on businesses in terms of like becoming hand dyers and starting hand dyeing companies and brands. And so there's a number of people there. And then and Greta, I mean, Karen is right there in the middle here. So Karen is a member of the school. She's in the chat room here as well, and she came to say hi. And we had a lot of great conversations over the week, and really, really excited about that. This is Jamie. Jamie's been a member for a while, and she came by to say hi and show us the sweater that she made. This is, I believe, it's a Tanis Fiber Arts pattern, and she used our colorways to knit that all up. And then just met a number of people who are wanting to teach, learning the fiber arts, starting just natural dye companies, hand dye companies, all sorts of things like that. And then finally, this little photo here is H&H ran for the first time ever a cosplay competition at the show. And so these girls, they're all like cosplayers and they design costumes for all sorts of different characters using all sorts of different materials, all sorts of different techniques. The show was quite amazing. But we had one entrant. This cosplay costume was made using our Sweet Georgia Superwash DK yarn. So the colorway here for that little purple top was from our hand dyed yarn, which was really, really exciting to see. So it was just really neat to see what people can do with yarn and fabric and fiber and all sorts of things like that. And then there's a tiny little sliver of a photo here, and that is on the very, very last day of the show, of our trip. Teresa and I went and we got the deep dish pizza in Chicago, or not in, well, in Rosemont, close enough to Chicago. So that is like the little week that happened. But yeah, this show was actually 60% bigger than last year's show, is what they said, because there were so many people who came in terms of the fabric world. So I believe there were some rumors that maybe quilt market doesn't happen anymore, and so the quilt market has been absorbed into this H&H America show. And so like a significant portion of the show included quilting. So like Tula Pink was there, all the fabric companies were there, every single sewing machine manufacturer was there with a booth. Like there was like a ginormous Bernina booth, there was a big Janome booth. Like there was just so much sewing and quilting. And it's really interesting because lots of quilting companies were interested in, oh, maybe I should be doing something in knitting. And then the knitting yarn people were like, oh, maybe I should be doing something with quilting. So there's this constant like back and forth and flow. And it's just really, really interesting to hear about how people progress through their crafts. Like everyone, the word multi-craftual actually came up way more this year than I've ever heard before. I feel like last year we were using the word multi-craftual and people didn't really know what we were talking about. And this year, so many people that I talked to were all talking about the word multi-craftual and how everybody does more than one craft. It's very, very interesting. And about how quilters come out of people who sew and sort of the evolution of those crafts and everything like that. So it's fantastic. It's really, really interesting. And yes, Karen's saying there were over 400 vendors and 3,800 attendees. It was very, very, very cool to be there. Yeah, there was one. I'll have to post a photo of it, but there was one booth where it was crocheted dogs, but it's like nothing you've ever seen before. They were realistic looking dogs because they were amigurumi crocheted bases, and then they were stuffed, and then you made the actual dog shape, and then you kind of latch hook pieces of yarn into the amigurumi character to be like hair, and then you brush that yarn, and then it would kind of like it would unravel and then become like fur. It was crazy, but there's like these amazing realistic looking dog toys that you could make. So in any case, it was fantastic. It was a great show. Happy to have gone and happy to be back and happy to have met all of the people. And so if you came and you said hi, thank you so much for coming to say hi. That is fantastic and amazing and great to meet all the people. Now, the next place where I am going to go is this place. So if you guys have not yet heard, I'm going to be teaching together with Patty Lyons at the Vogue Knitting Retreat that's going to be happening in Sun River, Oregon this September. It goes from September 21 to 24. And this I am so unbelievably excited about. So when the organizer, so Gabrielle, when she first emailed me and she says, "Hey, are you interested in maybe doing this?" And I have not gone sort of out to teach anywhere for a long, long time. But I was so, so excited about doing this because Patty Lyons is amazing. I met Patty Lyons back in like I think 2008 or 2009, and she has always been awesome. Always glad to work with her. She's fantastic. So funny. So just so funny. And really, really looking forward to spending time with her. But also that Sun River is beautiful. It is a gorgeous place. And so one of the things that I thought about is in 2009, October 2009, I actually went to Sun River as a participant for a different retreat. I went to a spinning retreat. It was called Soar. It was when Interweave Spin-Off magazine used to host these spinning retreats. And so that year, 2009, it was held at Sun River in Oregon. And so I actually have a blog post, and I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna pop this in the chat. But this is the blog post that I wrote in 2009 about my trip to Sun River. And of course, I drove there. So I was talking about how I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I was driving to Portland and driving 10 hours basically to get from Vancouver to Sun River. And just like the amazing experience of the environment, like the drive is beautiful. The landscape, the view is just incredible. And then you get there and the place, the setting is gorgeous, and that you have time to just be among people with shared interests and to create these memories. I have such amazing memories of that soar in 2009. And so I just like really looking forward to going back to this location. It's a kind of space where you have meals together, you share your breakfast together, and then you do your classes and you have some learning, and then you have lunch together. And then in this case, for the Vogue knitting retreat, the classes are all in the morning. So you do your classes and then you have lunch. And then in the afternoon, there's just more relaxed time. So you can take advantage of some of the things that happen actually at the resort. So there's horseback riding, they said, there's a spa, you can go get on the water. There's like a lot of things that you can do. There's golf, I believe, as well. So there's a lot of things that you can do in the afternoon to kind of relax, or you could sit and knit for the rest of the afternoon, all of those kinds of things. There's going to be a little bit of a market as well. If you wanted to like look at yarns, I know I'm going to be bringing yarns down for sure. And as well, my plan is to bring my circular sock knitting machine so I can do a little bit of a demo as well, in addition to the other things that I'm going to be teaching. So I'm going to be teaching color play, which is like an opportunity for everybody to sit down and mix and match colors and learn about how colors go together, kind of trying to make color combinations for knitting projects and blending and all that kind of stuff. So we'll have hands-on time with that. We usually bring like little bits of yarn for everybody to actually knit and work and swatch with. So that's one of the things that we're going to be doing. And I'm also going to be giving a lecture in the evening for one of the dinner times, and we're going to be talking about how to take better photos of your knitting projects, your yarn projects, all of that stuff. So it's a bit of a photography lecture, and I feel like I have taught a bunch of photography for yarn things. In the School of SweetGeorgia, we have a course called Yarnography, but things have evolved. Technology has evolved since I made that course. And so I think that as part of this talk, I might talk a little bit more about using mobile devices for taking photos, because we're just all on our phones all the time, taking photos with our phones. So I think that there's more to learn about that and how we can do that better. So I think that's a little bit about what we're doing there. And then, yes, there is early bird pricing from now until May 29th. And then after that, then it goes back. It goes kind of up a little bit. But you can see I have a link here, and that will take you to the Vogue knitting page and then talk all about that. But really, really excited to do this. I feel like, yeah, anytime that you're meeting people in person, seeing people together, and doing the things that you love and doing that together, that's where just, I don't know, I feel like I don't get enough of those things. And so, yeah, if I bring my circular sock knitting machine, maybe I'll convert a couple of people to circular sock knitting machines too. And so this time I am not going to drive 10 hours. I will fly and bring all the stuff, and it will be great. And I look forward to meeting you guys if you are coming for that retreat. Would be amazing. So let's talk about the next thing. Oh, okay. So the next thing is, if you happen to be in the Vancouver area, we are going to start opening up the studio on Saturdays. Not every single Saturday yet, but we are going to open on the second Saturday of every month. And so the second Saturday of May happens to be tomorrow. So we're going to be open tomorrow, May 11th, from 11 o'clock in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon for like a very casual knitting meetup. You can bring your crochet, you can bring your spinning, whatever. It's kind of like to hang out and spend some time in that front shop area. But the front shop will be open until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So 11 to 3, Charlotte will be there. And I think that in our previous spaces, we've always had knit nights on Thursday evenings. And so this is an opportunity to kind of like come on the weekend, to come to the studio, and it'll be open for online order pickups and all of that kind of stuff. So yes, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Come say hi. Yes. It would be lovely if you guys came by and said hi. It would be really, really nice. So Charlotte will be there. And we're going to attempt to continue on with this opening of the second Saturday of every month. And then you can come and see all the yarn in the studio. The front shop is very nicely set up. It's lovely. It's like right by the river. It's got a river view. There's a lot of natural daylight. It's a gorgeous space in the front. I will show you very quickly. This is what's happening behind the door. So if you go into our front shop area, there's a door that kind of, if you go through that, it leads to the dye studio. And so this is currently what is happening downstairs. This is the dye studio that is nearly finished construction. So the sinks are in, our stoves are in, all of the pots are in. Actually, our team has been dyeing in this brand new studio space already. And so very, very excited to have this all done. We're still waiting to get some floor in here. And then once the floor is in, then I'm thinking about making this space into a possible knitting machine studio. However, you can see the loom that is right now behind me may also need to move downstairs. So you can see the giant loom behind me is a little bit too big for this room right now. So we're thinking about maybe we have to take it downstairs. Maybe I have to sell it. Maybe I have to take it home. I don't know. We're dealing with this loom right now. But yeah, that is basically what I'm hoping to do downstairs, is to convert that space into a nice space where we can actually use it for actually either the weaving stuff or the machine knitting stuff. And I'm curious about what you guys might want to see if I or when we make a dye studio tour video. So like when we moved into our old space, we made a video walking around, showing you all the things, all the different parts of the studio. I'm really curious about what you are curious to see in this studio space. Like, what can I show you? What would be different? What would be interesting? What can I show you? We also, while Teresa and I were in Chicago for H&H, Hubert sort of handed off our keys to the landlord. And so before that happened, I had like one last day where I spent a little bit of time in the old studio, and I filmed a little video about my last moment being in that space. And I edited it, but I haven't published it anywhere. And so I'm thinking I'm not sure if I should post it or not. Um, I'm still thinking about it. But in any case, it's basically ready to go. I just have to think about if I want to upload it or not, because that's actually quite an emotional time to like say goodbye to something. But in any case, that may come in a few days if I decide to post it. Yeah. So that was a moment. The next thing that I wanted to share with you guys is the other stuff that we are doing right now for the school. So as you know, the reason why we have to kind of move this loom out of this room is because this room gets used for filming, and we are filming a ton of stuff for the school. And so we have been filming some classes with Diana Twist about kind of like, we don't have a working title, is kind of like next level spindle spinning. And so in this class, Diana is teaching about spinning with drop spindles, spinning with supported spindles. She loves spindles. Maybe we have Diana Twist's Instagram that we can pop in the chat, but Diana just loves spindle spinning. And I remember years ago when we used to do Spinzilla. Spinzilla was a competition to see how much yardage you could spin during the week of Spinzilla. And Diana would always spin on spindles. And meanwhile, other people were like, I'm trying to crank as much yardage using an e-spinner and not stopping for sleeping or meals or breaks or anything like that. And Diana was like very adamant about using the spindles. And I was so impressed. I was so impressed. So in any case, Diana's coming to teach us more about spindles. She shares a lot about just how spindles are so practical, so portable, useful, and yeah, very, very. Oh yes, Greta has posted Diana's Instagram in the chat if you want to check that out. Yes, really looking forward to sharing Diana's class with you as well. And right now, I am putting together the content for dyeing and weaving hand painted warps, and so you can see here, this is on my loom at home. I have been playing with the warp. This is all hand painted warp that is on the loom, and then just playing with different weft colors, auditioning a bunch of different weft colors. So you can see this is like bright flaming orange used in the weft. And then here I have like a darker, kind of more subdued purple. Completely changes the fabric, these are the kinds of things that I find absolutely the most fascinating. I love sort of like this mix between this bright orange and the purple blue that's happening in here. Oh, I love this stuff. I love it. And so if you are curious about how this all works, or if you would like to have a peek into what we're doing, we do. I encourage you guys to check out the School of SweetGeorgia. And we have a coupon called that you can use. It's Explore the School, and then you get the 14-day trial, and you get to look around for 14 days, for 2 weeks, look around, and it's just $1, and then you can see if it is the place for you. We do have over 100 different classes in knitting, crochet, spinning, weaving, dyeing, rigid heddle weaving, tapestry. There's a class on punch needle. There's classes on felting. So it's basically to capture the entire breadth of the fiber arts, like the whole spectrum of the fiber arts. And really what we're trying to encourage is people to look at how the different crafts interact with each other. So can you use a hand dyed thing for weaving? Can you use hand spun for knitting? Can you use yeah, can you use your hand spun for crochet? What would that look like? What if you did, hand spun and then did color work? Or what if you did hand dyed and then tapestry? So all of the different ways that things could mix and blend. So yes, very excited about that. Color mixing, man, it's amazing. Now, the other thing that we are doing is that we have a community that is ongoing at Discord. So on our Discord community, we have been talking a lot about this multi-craftual make-along idea, which is basically between now and April 1st and the end of July. We are focused on fractal yarns and fractal spinning. And lots of people have been talking about doing fractals in all sorts of different ways than I have previously done. I've always taken fractals to be very straightforward. I have a hand painted top, I split the top, I divide some of the pieces, and then I spin, and then I combine them again. But there are members of our community who are really looking at, blending roll legs to make fractal spinning. There's a whole bunch of different things and different ways that people are doing fractals. Somebody made a bat, carded a bat, and then was spinning fractal from a bat, from a dizzed bat. So many things that you could do. In any case, this is the project that I'm currently working on. So this is a fiber that I dizzed using a hand card and a diz. And this is BFL and silk. And I am currently in the middle of spinning the second half of this fiber, and then it will get plied, and then I'll be able to make something with it. And so the goal is that after I finish this, I'm going to hopefully make the traveler's cowl. That is the goal right now, and then be able to knit that. I'm actually going on vacation at the beginning of July. The first 2 weeks of July, I will be traveling. And so it would be nice to have a project to keep in my bag that I could sort of knit a few rows on as we're doing things. We are actually going to London. We're going to be in the UK for the first 2 weeks of July, and I'm actually really hoping to visit a machine knitting studio, much to the chagrin of my family. They're like, why are you going to see yarn things on your vacation? But that's exactly what I want to see. I want to see a machine knitting studio. And I've been researching, and I found a couple, and I'm hoping to go and see a machine knitting studio in London while I'm there. During July, there's also Tour de Fleece. So if you happen to also be on vacation and traveling and all that kind of thing, that is where spindles comes in very, very handy. So Tour de Fleece spinning, maybe you want to do a little bit of 10 minutes every day on a spindle. That would be a great thing to do as well. And then we have all of these other make-alongs sort of planned for the rest of the year. So combo spinning later, or gradient spinning. October is October every year. And then November, we always have a focus on rigid heddle weaving. And so you can join us in the Discord, in the school, and we're doing all of those things. As well, I should mention that the first Monday evening of every month, we're doing a meetup. So multi-craftual Mondays. And so basically on that Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I get online and we chat about all the things that we happen to be making. And so this meetup is open to the entire community, to the public, to everyone. And so this was my view from this past Monday meetup. And so I was spinning. You can see my bucket of dizzed fiber right here. I'm keeping it in a bucket that I used to rise sourdough in, and it's clean. I washed it. And this is all my yarn and my Lendrum Saxony, and so that's what I've been working on. And yeah, we just keep spinning. So I hope that you will sort of come and visit us for one of those calls in the coming months. Next one would be June, the first Monday night of June, and we'll be doing that. Sourdough yarn. Sourdough and yarn. Now, I want to share with you guys the latest thing that we have launched in the school. And so, this is something that, along with the overshot, I have been working on for it feels like years now. It's probably been 2 years since I put on like my first crackle warp, and I loved it. It was amazing. And so, to be able to share this content with you on the school is very, very exciting. Basically what it is crackle is a weave structure that makes blocks. And so you can see right here in this photo, there's like a big block of magenta and a big block of blue and a big block of turquoise and a block of green. And there's all these different things, different blocks. You can also see here, like in this little, there's green blocks, bigger blocks, smaller blocks. You can see the blocks happening in the fabric. And the blocks are basically created by threading your warp in different ways. And so crackle is actually based on a twill. It's based on a 3-point twill. And so we get into sort of like the details of how to actually thread it. But ultimately, I feel like crackle is really, really an amazing way to play with weaving and to experiment with color and to experiment with how different things work, because you can do so many things on one threading. So what I did 2 years ago is I put on one big giant long warp, and then I threaded it with crackle. And you can see this is the pattern that I used. It was an old pattern from like, I don't know, like the 1940s or something like that. And this pattern was woven on that threading. And then this pattern was also woven on that threading. And then you can see on the loom picture here, there's two completely different fabrics that are happening all on the same threading. And then on this right side here, all of these are all on the same threading. This is on the same threading. All of these things happened on the same threading. Yeah. And so you can see here, I'll show you some samples because I have it here. This is my pillow that I made from that fabric. So this was part of that first warp that I wove, and I loved this color so much, and I loved the mix and the blend, and it looked modern. I feel like it has a very minimalist, modern look to it. And so yeah, and then I just backed it with some sort of linen looking fabric. I put a pillow insert inside and I sewed this up and made myself a pillow, which we're using in the studio right now. And it's really just very, very simple. One warp kind of yarn, one ground weft yarn, and then the yellow yarn that I used in here was flax and silk fine. So that's a linen and silk blend. And it just works beautifully in here. I love it. I love this. So that's one of the crackle projects. And then you can see here, these are all sort of the crackle experiments that we worked on. And so this is just one of the things to show you in terms of this is all the same threading. This was all put on the loom in the same way. I didn't change anything and just keep weaving, but by changing the treadling pattern, changing yarns, changing colors, you can come up with completely different effects, right? So I could have made, so this one was woven basically on opposites. I changed two different colors. I think one of these might be some gist array, and some of it is some of our SweetGeorgia yarn. And so just alternating two different colors, again, very modern appearance. You could make this whole thing into a pillow. This one down here with the browns and the greens, this is all just like leftover yarns that I had from another project, just testing out how it works. But this is classic crackle. Okay, so if you look up anything to do with classic crackle, classic crackle. That's what that is. And of course, it's going to look different depending on what your threading pattern is. But again, you could make an entire pillow out of this or change the colors and rotate different colors. Try analogous colors, try super complementary opposite colors. And then up here, this is like a really, really simple way of weaving crackle. And I just happened to put in some leftover sock blank. So it's a gradient dyed sock blank that was kind of splashy dyed. And so that's why there's kind of like colors coming in and out and it doesn't look super strong in any way. There's kind of like blippy bits of color and stuff like that. And so just changing up your yarn, changing up your treadling can make completely different effects. So I kind of feel like if you wanted one weave structure to weave for the rest of your life and have like so many different options, maybe crackle is the one. I spend a lot of time thinking about, oh, if I could only weave one weave structure, what would it be? And what could I weave for the rest of my life? Some people like Jennifer Moore, they got into double weave and like everything that she weaves is focused on double weave. So I always wonder if I picked a weave structure, what would it be? And I feel kind of like crackle might be might might be the one. Because I look at this and I just threaded this in very simple blocks. It was crackle block A, block B, block C, and block D. And so if I had threaded this with a more complex pattern, maybe with undulating things, maybe with something, maybe a more complex threading pattern where the blocks are a little bit more mixed up and stuff like that, these color blocks would change significantly. It wouldn't be so rectangular or blockish or even. There would be much more sort of variety happening. I feel like that would be a whole world to explore because these colors, they come out so bright, so vibrant. And the optical mixing, again, optical mixing of the colors is just really the most amazing thing. Can crackle be done on a rigid heddle loom? It is very possible that it could be done on a rigid heddle loom. Um, we would probably have to look at how you would thread it. So I have seen so basically, crackle is somewhat related to overshot, can be related to overshot. Overshot can definitely be woven on a rigid heddle loom. And so if you look up Crazy Shot, it is a book that is all about how to weave overshot on a rigid heddle loom. And it might involve like getting pickup sticks and things like that. But crackle might also be along that same lines. Amanda Wood, who teaches many of our rigid heddle classes, has been talking about doing crackle on, doing summer and winter, which is also another block structure that we're going to do next, doing summer winter on a rigid heddle loom. So I imagine if overshot can and summer and winter can, then crackle probably can, but I feel like there would need to be some figuring out of how you thread it, how many heddles, and where the pickup sticks would go, and things like that. But I'm sure it can be done. It's just about raising warp threads. Hmm. Fantastic. Very, very excited about this. So, yes, that is what has been on my loom. And yeah, it was a good amount of time spent playing with crackle. So fun. I hope to get back to it too. So, the next thing that I want to share with you guys is something that is totally different, and that is this pattern. Okay, so this pattern is knit up with our flax and silk fine. This pattern is designed by Elizabeth Margaret. It's a One Wild pattern, and it's called Betty's Mystique. And so this is a kind of like a tank top design that was knit with our flax and silk fine, and it's a tank top where you knit from the bottom up. You can kind of see there's like a 1 by 1 ribbing at the bottom, and then and then um, this is kind of like a stockinette that has a tiny little dot pattern. Okay, and so the dot pattern continues up both sides, and then in the middle it continues on with the 1 by 1 ribbing. It might be a little bit hard to see because it's quite faint, and I have another photo which I'll show you. And then this neckline with the 1 by 1 ribbing divides in half, and then continues up the side to form the straps of the tank top. And it's actually really, really lovely. It's really, really pretty. This is the time right now, like wanting to make a lot of sort of garments for spring and for summer, things that you could wear, maybe like put a cardigan on top, or maybe you wear it's plain, or lots of different things you could do. So this one happens to be, I believe, the longer length. Um, Elizabeth's designed it in two different lengths. One is a longer length that you can wear with like with leggings and things like that. And then there's also a hip length one, which is like a little bit shorter, a little bit more cropped. Two different versions, okay? And the other thing is that I found that there's lots of different options for being able to customize and configure this for your size. So one of the first things is that she gives an option for if you want to do a tubular cast on or just like a regular long tail cast on. There's those options. And then after that, there's also the option of three different cup sizes. So the cup sizes are basically measured by kind of measuring from your shoulder down your back and then figuring out, yeah, from your shoulder to right under your bust line, and then measuring what that length is, and then measuring the same distance on your front, and then comparing the two, and then depending on what the differential is between the back and the front, that would determine what your cup size would be, and then the cup size would determine how many increases you do in order to do that shaping. So there's like a lot of different ways to customize this pattern. So you can see this is kind of like the bigger picture of it, and then this is sort of like, yeah, you can see a little bit more closely. This is the detail of how the increases happen in order to split this neckline. It's really, really lovely. Um, yeah, I actually started it. You can see here, I started it. So I am knitting this one right now, but I am still doing the ribbing, and it's taking me a little bit more time than probably everybody else to knit this. But the ribbing, I think, is maybe the slowest part. And then after that, it's mostly stockinette with just like a few little dots here and there. So I'm excited to wear this and excited to like put this under cardigan or something like that. Betty's Mystique, the idea of it, it is inspired by Betty Friedan, who is, uh, well, was a writer and an activist, and she did a lot to promote feminism in the 1960s and 70s. And so, in the pattern, there's a whole big, giant, long one pager about Betty and her history and where she came from and all of the things that she did and why she's significant in this entire movement. And so, there's like a lot that's packed into this PDF. It's actually quite a long PDF. Do I have it? I have it here. That is the pattern. Okay. And the neat thing about this is Elizabeth actually created a Slack channel for her design work. And so anybody who's knitting these, you can join her Slack channel, and there's a lot of chat, there's feedback, there's help, there's all that kind of stuff inside there. And so, yes, the kind of techniques that you might have to look at are there's tubular cast on, which is optional. There's directional shaping, which is, to be able to do some increases, causing the ribbing to go one way or another way. There's a lot of different, let's see, I'll show you. Yeah. So the directional shaping would happen here and then here. And then there's German short rows, which you can do. There's a sloped bind off, which is optional, garter stitch selvage, and I cord. So garter stitch selvage must be along the side here. So that way the fabric has a nice finish to the edges, because you're not hemming around the armholes or anything like that. So there's like a lot of things, a lot of techniques which you could learn in here. There's an I cord. Looks like there's an I cord right here on the neckline. It's really lovely. And ah, so it's a very clear, very thorough pattern and lots of really lovely photos. Let's see, there's more photos of the piece there. Yeah. So I do love this yarn for spring and summer knits. There was one sweater that I knit a couple years ago, also in flax and silk fine, and it was like a t-shirt kind of pattern from Isabel Kramer. And I wore that a lot. It was really, really comfortable in the summer. And so looking forward to having this one done too. Maybe I'll be knitting this in London. So let's see. The last thing that we want to talk about is the colorway for the secret stash for May. So every month, we have been doing sort of like a reveal of the colorway that we do for our Secret Stash Club. Secret Stash is basically our yarn subscription that we do every month, and we also do a fiber subscription every quarter, so every 3 months. And so this May, the theme and the inspiration behind the colorway is called Life of Plants. And so the reason for this is because I was saying that when we moved into our old dye studio, the last dye studio that we're at, Hubert and Charlotte, they had like a little office in the corner that was filled with natural light, and it had a door. And so it was like south facing and east facing. And so it would get a lot of light, beautiful daylight. And so it was like the perfect space for a greenhouse. And so when we first moved into the space, Hubert and Charlotte were like, "Oh, do you mind if we keep some plants in there?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. Okay, that's fine. Plants sounds good." Because they were like starting seeds, they were planting a garden, all of this kind of stuff. So I was like, "Okay, sure. Sounds good." And then when we went in at the couple weeks ago to, or a couple months ago, to like start to tidy up and clean out the old studio to move, I saw their plants, and their plants were like so vibrant and so healthy and so fresh looking. And I don't know why it was so surprising, because I think it's because I'm terrible at taking care of plants, and everything that I, try to grow in terms of a plant, it just doesn't cooperate with me. But their plants were doing so well. And I really wondered about, like, what was it that um that made them thrive so much, right? What makes these plants fresh and full of life and all of these kinds of things? So that was basically the inspiration for the color. And so this is the color that we produced, and we dyed it on Cash Looks Fine for this particular month. And so, yeah, I said these plants, they have been living in parallel with us all of these years at the studio. They've been listening to our conversations, they've been soaking up the energy. I talk a little bit about how, like, my daughter recently got a plant, and she will like kind of talk to the plant and pet the plant, and like she patted it on the head. I have a video where she hugged the plant, like she's like taking care of this plant. And so I just wonder about what we need in order to like thrive and do well and be this vibrant. So in any case, this is the color that was created out of it. This is Cash Lux Fine, beautiful yarn. I'm going to show you a couple of samples of things that we have made here. But this is my favorite part, is like, this is the cone that gets wound. Um, for some reason, the color looks a little bit more blue than it is really. This is the skein, ta-da. And then, of course, this is my sock that got cranked with it. Yeah, on screen it's a little bit more blue than it is in real life. It is definitely should be more green in real life. And so we have photos. The photos in the slides are really, really representative of what it is. So Mary's asking if it's too late to order for May, and there will be extras that we post on the website. Um, and those will be available on, yeah, it'll be shop.sweetgeorgiayarns.com. And then that's where all of the yarns will be. Oh, Greta posted a couple of the links already. That's fantastic. Thank you. So yes, that was my sock that I cranked. And then I'm going to show you, this is this is the first project that we've done for the secret stash that is woven. Okay, this is a scarf that was woven by Charlotte using the cashmere, and for weft, she used the silk mist. So the silk mist, I think the color was like a light color. I think it might have been Foggy Dew. We'll have to check. It'll be in the show notes for sure. But she used this silk mist, which is silk and mohair, and then it makes for a really lovely drapey sort of feel. I believe she said she knit this, wove this one at 10 ends per inch. And so what we are going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a comparison over the next couple of months, maybe, because we have some samples at 10 ends per inch. That's like basically how closely the yarns are all set together. And so, working with a fingering weight yarn, do you want to use 10 ends per inch? Do you want to use 12 ends per inch? We recently were gifted a reed from Shacked, and Shacked has a new reed that is 15 ends per inch. And so, that is what I'm also playing with as well. So, if we can compare like a fingering weight yarn woven at 10 ends, 12 ends, and 15 ends per inch, and then see what would each fabric be best for. But you can see how drapey and beautiful this is. It's even see-through, right? You can see right through it. So it's got a little bit of that gauzy effect, and it is really light and drapey. But I think that the interesting thing is when you weave something, you can change the color. You can change the overall color and tone of everything. And so if you were to use a darker weft color, you could tone it down. If you use a more muted color, you can tone it down. So, one of the things that we feared, we did so many tests for this May month because green is sometimes challenging for people. Some people love green. Some people are like, oh, green. But I think green is so interesting because green can be shifted in so many different ways. So, if you come back and we look at these colors, like it's got a little bit of this pale chartreuse kind of color. There's a bit of jade in here. It's just like a little bit of teal. So in some ways, if you wanted to mix and combine it or knit it together with a yarn, maybe like knit it with silk mist, knit it with a lace weight yarn, or weave it with one of these other colors. If you changed the other color to maybe like a little bit more turquoise, you move the green in that direction. If you added something that was a little bit more warm or limey or olivey, then you also shift the green in a different direction. If you want to make it darker, you can shift it. And so, yeah, doing it with weaving is a really, really interesting way of changing, morphing, evolving that color into another direction that maybe you like more. Or maybe you like this color straight. I like the color straight. I think it's really, really pretty. So this is a couple more photos, snapshots of the yarn. It's just so satisfying to photograph these yarns. Yes. So the deadline that we have for the June club is actually May 15th. So if you want to receive the installment for June next month, then you'll have to subscribe by May 15th. And so, in order to have received this May club, you would have had to subscribe by April 15th. And so, we have like the little link here, and you can join anytime and sign up for any sort of amount of time. June is going to be very interesting. It is completely different than anything that we have done for a long, long time. Very, very excited about June. June is going to be very different. And so I hope that everybody's excited about trying new things. So yeah, very excited about that. Oh, and then June is also fiber month too. So we also have the colorway that we've created for June is also going to be on spinning fiber. And the spinning fiber is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So excited about that spinning fiber. So if you're a spinner, if you're looking for actually something to spin for Tour de Fleece coming up, then maybe the fiber might be a thing that you might like. So now that we've shown the actual photos for the May club, then we're going to post this in Discord as well. And so I do have like a little section in Discord where we talk about the things that people have made with their secret stash installments. And so they are categorized by month and sort of like collected together so that if you wanted, you could go in and see what people have made with that month's installment. So fantastic. Yeah, Leanne. Can't wait for the fiber. The fiber next month is amazing. So finally, we are coming to the end of our time together today. And so this is all the places that you guys can find us. Of course, we are on Discord. There is a link from our website, sweetgeorgiayarns.com, to the Discord stuff. We are on Instagram. Yes. And then YouTube. yes, this is where you are right now. We are going to be making more videos about YouTube for YouTube. Um, Kind of really starting off with that first video about the old studio and whether or not I should post that or not. I feel like I have to do that, let it go, and then we can do new things. So, yeah, excited about that. And then the SOS forums. So the School of SweetGeorgia forums is where all of this amazing conversation and learning is really, really happening. So if you are a member of the school, you can contact instructors directly. You can tag them. Instructors are answering questions in depth and providing really a lot of value in terms of like helping you get to what you need to learn. So definitely, if you are a member of the school, I invite you to join us in the community forums. A lot of learning is happening there. And as well, we have these meetups. These meetups are for the weaving. We have a second Monday of every month. I'm doing a weaving meetup. And then the fourth Monday of every month, Greta is doing a fiber prep meetup for School of SweetGeorgia members. So you can find all that information on the schoolofsweetgeorgia.com as well. And we have a whole slew of blog posts coming in the next couple of months. They are all scheduled. They are all coming. There's going to be lots and lots of things happening there as well. Janet's asking, are you going to release a photo today of what the Fiber Club fiber is going to look like? So the June Fiber Club will be shared on that second Friday of June. So yes, we always do on during the live stream, we share the color release for that particular month. So June will be shown next month. Yes, because we want to make sure that all of the members get their fiber first, get their yarn first, so that they see the color first before I show it here. So this is kind of like after everybody's already received their packages and they know what it's going to look like. Because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. I think it's really, really fun when you get your package in the mail and then you open it up and it's something new and different and something that you've maybe never seen before. So hoping that you guys can join us for that. And that's it. So that is the address for our new studio. You can find us there. Here's another photo of my happy weaving that is giving me so much joy right now. And of course, you can find us at sweetgeorgiayarns.com. The store is at shop.sweetgeorgiayarns.com. The school is at schoolofsweetgeorgia.com. And all of my weaving stuff is being posted at Low Meets Loom. So if you want to see more of these warp pictures in depth, you can find them all there as well. So that is basically it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I am so excited to always do these calls every month and just to catch up with you and to see you and to see what you guys are doing and making and all of that. So I hope to continue this conversation in Discord, and so you can find us there. And we are chatting every day, and I look forward to seeing you there or in the next one. All right, bye for now, everybody. Thank you.